to Bigfoot Odyssey's researchers report. And as you can see, there is no Kerry tonight, but we have with us Adam from BLUELINE Bigfoot. Welcome, Adam. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And we also have the lovely Claudia Ackley here with us tonight, and we're going to catch up and see what's been happening with you.
Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you to both you, Adam and Daniela, because you guys work so hard for the same cause that we're all doing. So I want to personally thank you guys for your hard work and dedication to what you're doing. Carrie Arnold is an amazing person. And it's fun to see that we're all in this together, because I believe that the Bigfoot community sometimes can be very divided, but sometimes can be very wonderful. I've met great people in the Bigfoot community for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the more we talk, the more we connect, and the more we're learning. And, we're breaking down barriers that, are just there, that we don't even realize are there. And so I think getting to know people more is important, and what they're doing. And so here we are, getting to know you a bit more. So I was saying before, like the first time I heard about you was about your encounter with your daughters.
Yeah.
Do you want to take us through that again?
Yeah. Actually, we just moved up here. We came from the city and we decided to go to the woods. So we were here for about 2 weeks. And I didn't know the area very well, so I would navigate to get my daughters to school. And for some reason, sometimes it would take me to the end of this trail, and it was like a dead zone. So I was like, oh, that's weird. So, but it happened like 5 times in a row. So I finally thought, well, maybe they, for some reason, I have to come on this trail, And I didn't know where to start hiking here. It's so big and luscious and beautiful, and there's hundreds and thousands of acres of woods here. So what happened one day was my daughters went with my ex-husband for his time, and my boyfriend, Ed Brown, we decided to go on a hike. So I said, let's go to this place that for some reason, my navigation keeps taking me there. So we decided to go there and didn't see anything squatchy. It was a small little trail. There's some houses around there. And the thing that I noticed, there was 3 trees that are blocking the trail. And I asked them, why are these trees? They're pretty big trees too. I said, why are they blocking the trail? And why is there 3 of them pushed down all within 1,000 feet? And he's like, oh, maybe wind, maybe snow. So we left that day, and I felt pretty confident and safe to take my daughters there. So a couple of days go by, and I asked my daughters, do you guys want to go hiking? Well, they're not really used to hiking. We're from the city, so it was something kind of new to them. So on the drive over there, which is about 2 minutes from my house, I just told them, if you see a bear, you never run from it. Mountain lions are they're sneaky. They can get you from the back, or they can jump off a tree. Always watch your surroundings, and always never ever show fear to anything. Always stand your ground. And they're rolling their eyes. My daughter, 14 at the time, I got her an iPhone just recent at that time. And my little girl, she was 11 at the time. So what I did is I decided to be in the back of the trail, and we started hiking, and they were having a great time, and showed them the first tree that's blocking the trail. They were climbing on it. And these trees are alive. They're not dead trees. And then we went to the second tree that's been pushed, blocking the trail. And at that point, we're about a mile into the woods. After, so what I did is I took a picture at that moment and stopped looking at my surroundings, because they're having a great time, but I'm looking around to make sure that we're okay. As a mom, kind of a mama bear thing. So my youngest daughter, I see her walking after I took the picture, and my dog is frozen. She was a puppy at the time. And I saw her move around the third tree that's blocking the trail, and there's a curve. So she was frozen. And I knew as a mom, something's wrong. She's seeing something, because I saw her go left, like she's watching something move. And then she was stunned, just staring straight. So we kept walking. And then my 14-year-old is now next to her, and now she's frozen. She's not moving. So I could just see the back of them. So as a mom, I run as fast as I can. And all I had with me that day was bear spray and my cell phone. And I ended up running in front of them 20 feet. And I see this massive male Sasquatch just staring at us. And at first, even though I've seen them before, in the past, I've never seen an alpha male ever. So that was my first real experience with what I'm looking at. And it was so close, and he was so big and so enormous that I was in shock. And in my head, I was thinking, this isn't really happening. no, this is just like a shadow. This is not really happening. And I kept walking up to him. And then at that, something in my head said, don't get any closer. And so I stopped, and which was strange for me because I don't tell myself things that, so I was asking my daughters, they were behind me, of course, at this point, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Do you see a head? Do you see shoulders? And they're like, yes. So what happened was, I didn't know this, but my daughter at the time, she videotaped it twice, and she does Snapchat. And I guess like they only videotape just for like 10 seconds at a time. So, I kind of raised my hands and I said, we come in peace. And the reason why I also whooped at him, and people said, well, why did you whoop at it? And I said, because he was looking at my kids a certain way that I didn't like. Like he looked at me and gave me kind of a dirty look. And then he looked at my daughters, and I could see him turning his head, looking at the three of us. And I whooped at him to tell him two things that I know you're kind, and don't look at my kids, look at me. Because as a mom, you're going to protect your kids no matter what. I won't win against anything that will attack us or anything. And, that day wasn't like a violent, scary encounter. He was just curious. And I told my daughters, do not run, like turn around and just start walking back to the car. Do not run. And my first thing we did is my daughter starts to run. So I'm like, no, like don't run. Please don't make this hard. So that day changed my life so much that because I felt that after the encounter, my daughter told me right away that there was two of them that ran right next to her. So as I was taking the picture, not paying attention, two of them were running bipedal, and they ran behind the big guy on the tree. So I asked him like that day, like, what do we see? Because I didn't want to say Sasquatch. I couldn't even say the word. What do we see? And then they said a gray face, like a man, and so to make my long story longer, that started my passion for a quest to let the public know about the things that exist out in the woods. And so like we found a 22-inch foot. His foot was 22 inches wide, wide and length. And I started listening to interviews, and I started thinking, like, what if I saw a young couple like with some kids coming on the trail that day? What would I say to them as we were leaving that day? Don't go over there. There's Bigfoot. They'll say she's crazy. So like, I wanted to do something to prove that these things exist, because I'm not saying that all the Sasquatch are bad. I love them. Like, honestly, it's amazing. They're beautiful to me, but I don't believe they're all good. It's just like us humans, we're not all good. So I feel that I have a responsibility that as a human being, as a citizen, to do something about like what I saw. And I'm not afraid of what anybody says or thinks. I have like the DNA. I have it on video, a lot of video, and I've had encounters, and I just feel that God has put me in this position to do something to help others, and that's my biggest passion in all this. This is not for myself. Like you don't pick this in your life and say like, well, I want to be a Bigfoot researcher. When I grow up, it's something I didn't ask for it, but it's something that God has given me, and I feel like I want to do something to help others. Like as I said before, this has been really hard on my children, on myself. Like a lot of ridicule. The media got involved, and I'm a tough girl, but I just feel that it's time that we know, and I want to make a difference, because I heard a story of two cousins that they were like fishing on the lake in Ohio, and I guess some rocks started getting thrown at them. Well, they don't know about Sasquatch. They didn't believe they even existed. So I guess one of the cousins had a temper, got back on the island and threw rocks back. At this point, he got injured very badly. He got attacked by them, or him. And I felt that if the public was aware of these like warning signs to people, like if you get rocks thrown at you, that means leave the area, or, be a little more safer with your kids, watch your kids a little more safely. So this is why I started to do this. And I'm going to have a national PTSD throughout the United States. I've picked one person from each state, and they're responsible to pick people from their cities of their state, so people can go free to express what they've seen without the pressure of feeling ridicule. So I want to help others in that way, for sure.
I think what I remember about that video is how calm you were at the time, and you seem very calm when you were saying, "Can you see what I'm seeing?" And like I think you dealt with it really well, considering that your children were there, and maybe that's why you were calm, because you didn't want to project fear onto them. But everybody. Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
I'm just saying, but there is this people are suffering from PTSD with this. Like, seriously, a lot of people are suffering from that. So that's what you're doing, is trying to create a space for people to
talk about it. You know, it's like, to me, well, first, I was in the medical profession. So like, they train you to be calm during emergency situations. But so in that, I had that in the back of my head. And like, the second thing I'm thinking about is like, there's all these things that flash through your head within seconds of the encounter. Like, oh my gosh, like his face is gray. Oh my gosh, he's so big. Like all these things that come through your head. So like, I'm thinking to myself, if you come at me, I'm not going to win, but you'll know I was there. And I'll have my daughters run. I'll say run. I even told them, like, if I tell you to hold hands and run, I'll be okay. Just do what I say. You know, they're rolling their eyes, of course, at that time. But I believe that because he showed no aggression at all. But it was just the shock of it, I think, of being surprised. And you know what's really interesting is we were being flanked, because my daughter did some footage of the side, like of the woods that day. And there was one standing behind a tree. You could see half of his body. So it's amazing how when they want to be quiet, they can. If they want to be loud, they can. You know, everything's on their terms. So, but people have said to me, like, you were too calm. I'm like, no, because there's so much that goes through your mind, you know, and you have to be responsible. And if I'm in a panic mode and I'm being like my children there, like, it's not going to be good for any of us. So I'm the one that is responsible for them. So I feel like I have to be calm and think rationally, you know, and that's what I was doing at that time of the encounter, for sure. So.
You were saying there that you've got some like DNA and
yes.
samples. How have you done that, and how have you tested it? You know.
Well, it's expensive to test. Like, it's about $2,000 per test. But also, I got some hair, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say his name, but he's actually with a part of Bigfoot Odyssey. So I got hair. Like, I know Rick Wells has sent me some hair. You know, and I've actually had some hair tested outside of the United States in a different country. And I'm going to be flying there soon to pick up the results, have it translated, and then bring it here. Because when I go to court for this, I want to have a rebuttal for every single thing they're going to throw at me. Well, like, you know, if they say, okay, this DNA isn't good in the United States, well, here's one in, you know, this other country or whatever. So I can't say too much of it, but it's definitely it's you scratch your head like thinking, wow, this is amazing stuff, you know. And I'm not afraid of dying. I'm not afraid of dying for my cause, because a lot of people sometimes will disappear. They don't want you talking, you know, like the Men in Black or whatever. But I feel that my cause is so great, you know. And if I don't win this case, at least the people that will laugh at me or say she's crazy, well, maybe they'll have an experience and they'll know, oh my gosh, she was right. They are real, you know. Or I'll be better careful taking care of my kids in the woods because I saw this lady go to court. They see the passion that I have. I'm not doing this for money at all. I don't want a cent from this. And obviously not for fame, because you look like a nut to like 90% of the public. So why am I doing this? For other people to be aware of what's happening. I believe that I'm responsible for my mankind to be safe in the woods, you know. And if you start going out there and start looking, you'll start finding things. And it's like behind my house here, there's 12 structures, and they're huge. And it's not the kind that people can kind of do. It's like these big trees that are uprooted and flipped upside down. So like, who can do that? Not human, you know. It's just, it's amazing. So
cool.
For sure.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, do you think that the state of California knows these things exist? What's your opinion there?
I know they exist, and it's the Department of Interior who's well aware of these creatures. They go on people's property. They have permits. They have like 3 SUVs. 2 of them are armed guards with no badges, with their camo, all kinds of weapons. And then the other van is like PhDs, physicists, psychiatrists, like everything you could think of PhD wise. And I think they're trying to find the reason why there's so many sightings now. It's not like back in like 10 years ago, you wouldn't hear us. Now that it's like, there's so many sightings, they're coming closer and closer to homes and people. And there's a reason, you know, in my opinion.
Just to interject real quick, I think about that a lot. And I think that maybe there's people like you and like me and Danielle and everybody else in the YouTube world, and researchers and people that are interested, that are bringing awareness to everybody. And it's working. and it's working. And so you have all these other people out there looking for them who maybe wouldn't have before. And so maybe, and now they know, I mean, I didn't know anything about structures or, ground glyphs or tree knocks or anything like 4 years ago at all. And so now we know about all this stuff. And so maybe now it's easier to see these things, and we can go, and there's people that are more aware already just in a short time. So maybe they're coming closer to us, or maybe we're just what everybody's doing here is actually working, bringing the awareness.
I hope so. Yeah, I think so too. Everybody has a part to do with it in some way, and I agree with you. It's kind of neat that you say that, because like there was a man named, he just passed away. And he said, Claudia, before my encounter, he had a really scary one, like it chased him and everything. But he said, like, that whistle that they whistled at me was the same whistle I've heard for years, just like Carrie. Like on Carrie, he heard them a bunch of times. And then once you have a sighting, you put all these puzzles together and you're like, oh my gosh, they've been watching me for a long, long time, type thing. So if that makes sense to people.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so many things from my childhood and adolescence and young adulthood, being in the woods as much as me and Jake always have been. There's all these little things that are now starting to make sense to me that were always like this strange mystery that I just kind of like thought about for a while and kind of was like, I guess I'm not going to get to the bottom of that, but that was weird. And then something else would happen. And the more I think about all these things, they're kind of all kind of like this Bigfoot related activity that seems to be kind of like, set the normal bar for what they do and how they act with humans and how they act with each other and evidence we can find of them and stuff like that. So it's strange how the more you know, the more you know.
It is. And I mean, there's a lot of people that are mad at me, like the ones that, because they're not all Sasquatch are bad. I'm like, no, I never said that, and I believe there's so many good Sasquatch that are just curious of us. And we're curious of them too. It's like we go looking in their structures, they come looking through our windows, it's just, So, but I believe that there's more than just Sasquatch out there for sure. I have to say that because my experiences are like really surreal, like right now, and I think it's.
Have you seen any lights or anything or orbs? Is there anything?
Yes.
Okay.
First, I was like, I've never seen them, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's like it looked like thunder and lightning, and then all these like orbs like everywhere. And I was like, oh my god. I actually got chased by one. I saw it, and I started running because it was like right behind me. It was white, and I have no idea what that is, and there's so many questions that we just don't have answers for. But like, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, which means nothing. But, like the people have UFO sightings. Let's talk about you. Because I'm really good friends with like his name is Steve Morello. He's the president of UPARS in Los Angeles. And I've been like talking to him a lot. A lot of the UFO experiences, you talk to people, very, very similar to the Sasquatch, the whole Bigfoot thing. Even though like some of us don't like the UFOs or the UFO people and the Bigfoots don't like, whatever. But I realized that a lot of their sightings are a lot like ours, and they have the same like emotion, they have the same experiences. So I was thinking like, like the little gray aliens are like 4 feet tall. Well, what if they made these Sasquatches that are like the ground crew for like the earth, you know what I mean? Because they have superhero strength, they're so big. How do they hide from us so well? They're so big, it's just, there's so many questions, but not enough answers. Like I said before, that we may never even know, but,
I call them the henchmen of the aliens. Is my little theory.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's so many encounters that have really closely related with orbs and UFO sightings and landings and abductions and all this stuff happening right at the same time, right at the same spot. And
I agree.
And I know it's real because I've seen it myself. And what is that? Think about it. I mean, it's so mind blowing. You think about it, you're like, Bigfoot in a spaceship, it just doesn't make any sense, but maybe it does. Because I mean, they're really good at this environment. They're really good at being on this world, so they can just dominate this world. So maybe they are out there, checking things out as like some kind of,
I've had 2 sightings with a one. Barbara Shoop. She first started her YouTube channel, and when I saw this little creature, he was 5 feet, Sasquatch. He looked like an alien in the face, like he had the black almond-shaped eyes, but like a chimpanzee body. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like what is this Washington creature? And it on her camera, it looked translucent like the predator. And the big alpha male I saw, I mean, either he was really dirty and their skin eventually gets gray, or he has gray skin, big black solid eyes, massively big, so their head was like 3 of ours. So there's so many things that you think about, just like you said, it's just, it's very intriguing to some.
Yeah,
but
connecting the dots as best you can.
Definitely. So, I mean, my court case is I'm going to file back in October. And some people are mad at me because they said, well, like Todd Standing. Well, I have to say this because like I'm very loyal to people that are good to me. And like Todd was the only one that said, Claudia, if you need help, I'll fly down to help you. Because he did it in the state of Canada, and he came on his own dime. He came on his own time. His wife was pregnant with like high risk pregnancy. And, I wasn't there when he filmed. So like, she must be a hoaxer too, just that kind of stuff. And I'm like thinking, well, nobody else offered to help me. So I will stand by my friends that have said, hey, you know what, I'll help you with this. It's just my opinion or whatever. So, but
well, experience, and that's all that matters. It's all individual, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Did he hear of your case before? Who contacted who in this?
I actually contacted him, and like he was my Facebook friend for like a long time. But I mean, I saw like years ago, like the Les Stroud thing when they took him out to the woods and stuff. And I never really talked to him ever. But when I heard his interview on Sasquatch Chronicles, I was like sitting after I had the encounter with my daughters. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I felt like, what can I do with my experience to help others out? Because I'm still trying to rationalize what I saw, what I experienced. My daughters like having a hard time, like scared to death. They hate the woods. They hate it because they're scared. They're kids. That day their innocence was taken. They're children, and it's like, I can't even understand it. How are they going to understand it? So I contacted him and I said, hey, like, would you be able to help me? How did you do it? Like, what paperwork do you file? How did you find attorneys? Like all these like questions I had for him. And he's like, has always been there for me. Like, and so like, I will always be like grateful to him for his help, and I financially like struggle a lot because I'm a single mom and I've been sick lately, and it's just, he's always helped me. Just, what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you? I see the passion that he has in his eyes. And that to me is very admirable of him, and so when people judge me for that, then, what somebody said to me that I wanted to, this is really important. Have you guys heard about the McDonald's lady who like sued McDonald's because she got burnt with buying coffee because it was too hot? Do you remember that?
Classic.
Okay. Well, everybody's like, oh my gosh, that lady sued because the coffee's hot. Like, how dumb is that? Like, can you believe she won? Like all this stuff. But what they don't know is her side of the story. Well, like the coffee machine was broken at McDonald's, and like I guess like it overheated like 5 times, whatever. Don't quote me on anything I'm saying. I'm just giving you the basics. So like what happened was it was so hot that it burnt through the cup when she put it between her legs because she was driving a stick shift car and it melted through the cup and she got burnt. So like a lot of people don't know that story. So a lot of people hear my story. Like this one lady contacted me. She's kind of big in the Bigfoot world. And she said, I didn't like you because I heard that you want to go to court because you want to tell people where these creatures are located. I'm like, no, that's not it at all. I don't believe in that. I don't want people going to shoot them at all. No, like that's not, mine is like all safety for the species because I care about the species a lot. And I care about my humankind as well too. I don't believe in killing anything, so that's where I stand with that. So sometimes people just judge me just because I'm associated with Todd Standing or this or that, and it's just look at the big picture. These things are real, and there's so many of them, and they're multiplying. And I feel like it's time that we know that the warning signs of what to do, and help others out. So,
do you have a website or anything to go to for information?
I just started like a YouTube channel just like a couple days ago, but I'm on Facebook, and I get a lot of great messages from people. Thank you for sending me messages about their encounters, their stories. A shout out to Pam. She's a great friend of mine she's kept me so strong through all this. And I also I'm human. I fall apart. I cry. I get sad. Like I'm just like everybody else, but I have a big passion in my soul, and it's not for myself. So I just do Facebook, but I'll put it on Facebook, my YouTube channel. I'm going to start doing some YouTube channels and stuff just to help with the court case. Financially, it's very expensive. To file a loan is like a couple $1,000s. The DNA is a couple $1,000s, you know, so I can't do this on my own. So I need help. I need help from you guys, you know, to in any way you can. So like if you know of the PTSD groups, please go to them. Even though you have great experiences, then go to the groups once they're in your state, just so you could share your great experience with them so they don't think it's all bad. Because to me, they're not all bad, you know, so.
Yeah. Just going back to what you're saying about people judging you, I think this is a kind of mentality in some of this community that people are just not thinking out of the box a little bit and looking at the bigger picture, like you say, kind of focused on the same things, a lot of people. And we're not getting anywhere. We've got like a lot of people have got closed minds to what's going on. And can you hear now? I think we've lost. Can you hear us?
Can you guys sound?
Can hear you. Just. Can you hear us? Technical difficulties.
A little glitchy.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see.
This is working without a net, as Kerry would say.
Without a net, people.
How you doing, Claudia? Can you hear us?
Happens to me and Jake like every time we do any of this stuff. I mean, every single time. So
Yeah.
maybe she's going to try to reboot there.
Try to come back in again. But what I was saying is that, you know, we are closed mind. Some people are closed mind to this subject, and, you know, we have to open them a bit more. And I think that's what we're doing. Hello, we can hear you. No.
That's a good view. Look
Yeah.
at that. No, yeah, you got a really good point there with that. I mean, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else as far as that goes. You know, you get thinking about something, you have a certain stigma about a certain person's character, the way they talk, or just the way they carry themselves, or what you think you know about them. And, you know, you go down the rabbit hole with all this negative things, and you don't try to figure out maybe what is the real intention, or what maybe proof they really have, or why they're doing this for real. So, you know, it's always fun and easy to judge, and people need to like lay off that a little bit and try to have more fun and more understanding with this. More better fun will come out of it if you think about it that way. I mean, like I said, I'm just as guilty as the next person, so I'm working on it myself.
Yeah, I mean, I've been the same, you know. Just have to listen, I think, more, and do your own kind of research as well.
Sure. I did a little research on this woman we're talking to this evening, not knowing much of anything about her. And she's like blowing my mind here with this thing we're doing tonight. Got a lot of really good ideas, really noble cause. And just I'm kind of like impressed with everything she has to say. It's not what I was expecting at all. And it's cool. So
I do kind of wonder, you know, where do people go to when they've had encounters, and how do you share an encounter, and when do you do it, and who do you feel safe to do it with, and how long do people carry it around with them before they can share it?
It almost seems like there needs to be a more like a national platform. I mean, the BFRO does a good job with, you know, talking to people about their encounters, and you know, they got a lot of big database going on there and everything with that. But what she's doing is more like
I'm back.
A personal, more of a heartfelt thing. And I think
Can you guys see me?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hello.
Sorry, I am so sorry. I don't know what happened.
That's fine.
I'm so sorry.
Well, look, there's been a couple of people asking, just to be clear, what are you going to court for? What is it about? What's it, you know?
Oh, okay. This is a good thing. Okay, so what happened with my case is, like, I called the fishing game when I had the experience with daughters. So, like, when the fishing game came, they basically said, you saw a bear, which made me feel totally stupid, which that phone call was already hard to do as it is. So what I'm trying to do in court is to say, well, like how you're going to prove that they're real. Well, what I'm trying to do is tell the fishing game, when there is someone who calls for help, your job is to protect the public and the game. So don't tell people they saw a bear. Go and investigate, because you imagine if we did see a bear, let's say they said, okay, yeah, you saw a bear. So what if that bear like went and hurt like a child? Do an investigation, help that person. Don't make them feel stupid. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest reason why. I love the fishing game. They do a great job. They're doing what they're told to do by their superiors. And I get it. We all have to feed our family. But that's what enraged me. Because I felt when she left, I felt like she in that phone call, you don't even know who to call for one. Like, do you call 911, fishing game, like the Forest Service? Like, who do you call? Agriculture? Nobody knows who to call, So police officers in my city here, like, who said to me, you know what, you're not the only one. Like, we'll testify for you. Like, there's a lot of people that are willing to help and come out with this and say, hey, you know what, we know you're not crazy or making this up. We know that, you experienced what you experienced. So that's my biggest goal in court. So the fishing game do their job, which is do an investigation, help someone out. Don't make them feel stupid, please. That's like the worst thing you could do. It's like when somebody gets raped, you'll say, well, that's not really true. No, you didn't. You know what I mean? Type thing. So, and I'm just being frank with people. I'm a lot more bold now than I was when I first started doing this, but my passion is that strong for sure. So, sure. When Todd started doing this, Todd Standing, he went to prove that they didn't exist. And now look what happened to him. He turned for like everything else. There's so many people that have just explored it just to see before they would say they don't exist. And then they turned around and said, oh my gosh, they do exist. It's amazing. So, but.
Quick question for
you. Are you guys there?
Can you hear me?
Oh no.
We can hear you.
Let's see.
Go again. What were you going to ask?
I was going to ask her, without coming out, without the government, the state government, federal government coming out and saying that, oh yeah, you saw Bigfoot. Yeah, this is what you do. I mean, that's proving, that's accepting that they exist, right? If there's like a protocol for a Bigfoot sighting, that's basically telling the public that we know they're real. So without them admitting to it and coming out and saying it's true, maybe there should be some kind of other training that is like, okay, this is going to happen.
I'm back again.
And you can, this is the way you handle this type of situation. You don't tell them it's just a bear. You say, okay, and you take the description of the animal or creature that you saw, and you go and you investigate it, but you don't say, Bigfoot doesn't exist. You don't say you're crazy. You just say, hey, we're going to go check it out. And you're obviously shaken up from this. And maybe there should just be a better training system for these type of people. Like I was just telling Daniela there, that if there was like the fishing game came right out and said, oh, you saw Bigfoot and this is what you do when you see Bigfoot, that would be them admitting that Bigfoot's real. And that probably isn't what they want to do, is admit it. So maybe there should be better training for them to know how to help people when they've encountered something without making them feel like really stupid and kind of like crazy.
Is there not a law that you can't shoot one? I can't remember where, but I've heard it. I've heard actually Wes Gerber talk about it. There is a law in some state where you're not allowed to shoot one. I mean, how does
Washington State?
I don't. How do they do that? Pass a law about something that doesn't exist? It doesn't make sense.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I don't know why it keeps like throwing me off with audio. I don't know. I'm sorry, you guys. So I'm just gonna keep loading, trying to come back on. But that's interesting because I've heard that they've even have the Sasquatch on bases, like the military bases and stuff. So, and like you're not supposed to talk about it, I guess, but so I hope that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Was going to say, I heard an encounter story the other day on Dixie Cryptids channel where the guy came across a Squatch with a collar on, with a little black box with a bleeping red light on it, like it was a tracking device for this thing.
Wow.
How do you get one of those on a Bigfoot? I mean, and why does that?
That's amazing.
What is that all about? Or is that part of like the UFO thing, or is that a government thing? But that was a pretty interesting encounter story.
Yeah, I listened to one too about two guys that were, I can't remember what they were, some special force or whatever, going out. All they knew, the only details that they had was they had to recover these bodies. And they said that they were two female Sasquatch and one had an old tracking device around her ankle. So,
oh my gosh.
you know, it's, who knows? Let's talk about Dogman. And do you think they're the same thing as Bigfoot or something totally different?
Well, I think they're a species of the Sasquatch, but they're, to me, so bad and very intelligent. And I have to be careful what I say. They could be very dangerous, and I believe that they feed on fear. And if you show fear, they're going to have more fun with you. So my biggest advice to those people is, I'm not saying go confront one at all. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. I just believe that I've noticed that. So when I show fear, they get more ballsy kind of, and they'll come closer and more, they want to play more games. And now I'm like, oh, no. Like, my faith in God is so 110%. My faith is very strong with God. And I'll rebuke it in the name of Jesus Christ, just because when you see a Sasquatch, it's completely different than seeing a Dogman. Like, they're totally different. They look a lot scarier, like more aggressive, more animalistic, I guess, because the Sasquatch to me, I saw a soul in his eyes, the alpha male. There was like a soul, and it was a beautiful soul. And then I see like the soul of this creature, and it's like, oh my gosh, totally different.
Is it anything to do with like a demonic presence, or
yes,
I think just
I believe so.
Primal.
I feel it's demonic for sure. It's just I can't say too much, but I mean, I have audio, I have videos of that, and I'm not really sure. I don't even know how to even begin to even comprehend to even explain like what I've seen and stuff, and the pictures I have and stuff. So
what about
it's pretty
mind speak or anything like that? Have you felt anything, any connection or?
With telepathy, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, whatever you call it,
Yeah. Well, let me just. I have to be careful with what. Okay, so the one I saw knew that I was looking at it through a security camera. So it wiggles like a dead animal in front of the security camera. So like, how does it know that I'm looking at it through a security camera? So I was like, wait, and I have to check what's going on here, type thing. Was it doing that? And fortunately, I have really good people that are coming here to my house a lot to stay with me and to find out more about these Dogman type creatures. And I've seen, I've have 27 size tracks and 6 toes, 3 toes, 7 toes, reptilian looking toes, which is like, it looks like a triangle, scratches, black feathers, rocks, sticks. It was funny. My neighbor came over the other day. I just met him, and he's like 80 years old, really cute. And he saw me looking like on the ground, so he comes over and he's like, "Hi, like I'm John, your new neighbor." And when we walked back in the back to show him some tracks, like I didn't tell him what I was about. I just said, "Oh, I'm just checking out some tracks here." And he goes, "Oh, let me see." Well, when we went back there, like all these rocks got thrown at him, and he got really infuriated. He goes, "What just threw a rock at me? What was that?" You know what I mean? Like, what do I say to him? It's because I don't want to scare him, but I also want him to be aware of what's going on here too. So, and now him and his wife are like, "Oh my gosh, look at that size track. That's crazy." I could see it. So.
And how long has this guy been living there?
3 years here. But the house like next to me is abandoned with their furniture, foreclosure. Their furniture's still there. The lady next to me on my left side, she's got sensor lights in the forest. So, and then my house was smacked. And that day was like, what smacked the house? Because when they smack the house, like literally all the walls shake. I've never experienced that, and that's new for me. So we see the handprint. It's small. It's like it was juvenile. 5 fingers. And she saw us at 2 a.m. looking outside, like, what was that noise? We didn't know what it was. And she comes out and she goes, "Don't go outside at night here. It's too dangerous." I'm like, "Have you seen anything?" She goes, No, I hate dogs. And she goes back in the house. She just will not talk, and she's always in her house. So you have to wonder what's going on here. You know what I mean? Maybe God brought me here for a reason too.
That's more likely, it seems.
Yeah.
What do you think about like Bigfoot communicating like with a mind speak like Daniela suggested with maybe other Bigfoots or with humans, like the whole mind speak thing? What do you think about that, delivering communication that way?
I believe that everybody's experiences are real for them. And it's just for me, I still have a hard time with that. Like, this is an example. I see their eye shine out here at night. So what I did is I grabbed a big pail of like a Minute Maid orange juice, and I poured it out and put water in it. I go out there and I said, I go water, and I drink it, water, and I left it there. So I could hear them talking though, like they have their own language. It sounds like chipmunks, like talking extra fast and super deep. It sounds metallic at times.
Do you have recordings of that?
What was that?
Do you have recordings of that?
Yes, I do.
Interesting.
I also have recordings of them speaking English, like something said, shut up.
Yeah,
so it's like,
too.
I'm like, oh, yeah, that wasn't us. Where did that come from? So for sure. And, I do believe.
I'm going to put this question up from, it's from Kevin here, this Arizona spot. Have you ever felt love from them? Because I know Kevin's got quite a connection with the places he's going, the Bigfoot he's encountering.
What does Kevin say?
Have you ever felt love from them?
No, not. Oh, the Sasquatch. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, for sure. I'm almost like curious. Like, I feel that the Sasquatch, they protect their families. Like, you get near their family, and you better be careful. And that's love. That's not just them protecting the families. I believe they have love for their kind. Like we do. So, which I think is a beautiful thing. For sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many theories. Are they Nephilim? Are they alien orientated? Are they, what are they? So we just don't know,
I was just wondering, Carl's asked, do you think they're human?
I think they're part. I mean, he looked like a human man to me, just by his features of his body, like, arms, legs, fingers. They have really long fingers, by the way, because he scratched like his face when we were looking at him, the girls and I. And I even like noticed his fingers, in big ears, human ears. They looked almost Neanderthal. Like, so yeah, I think they're part human. The DNA, I mean, yeah. So
when you say a he, you definitely know it was a male.
No, I really don't, but he looked just like a man, type thing. So My daughter said that the two that ran in front of her, she said the one that was running in front was looking at her as I was running forward. And she said, felt that was the mom. And then she said the one behind it didn't even look at her. It was staring, just running like behind the smaller one. So there was 3 total that showed themselves that day. If you look on the video, the picture, you could see almost like another Sasquatch on the bottom, but it's so like, cloudy or blurry. And people get mad. They said, well, bring me like a clear picture. Well, you go get a clear picture. It's like, we don't know why, like the cameras get blurry. We don't know why. Does everybody have bad cameras? No. So why are the cameras blurry? So, but one thing I did,
go on,
I'm sorry. One thing, there's a woman that I love to death, and she knows who she is in Michigan, and she sends me pictures a lot. And it's interesting because when she's thinking to grab her phone to go and take a picture outside her window of them, because she knows they're outside, and they're looking right at her, the picture's super blurry. But then she has done, like, all of a sudden just picked up the phone, didn't think too much of it to take a picture, took a picture of them, and they were facing away from her. The picture's very clear. So when they're staring at the camera, it's blurry, but when they're facing away from the camera, it's good. You could see the picture very clear, which I thought was interesting. So I thought I'd share that with you guys, because what I'm noticing, so.
I like that. That's very interesting. I mean, we hear about all the time with the batteries and electronic devices going dead, and they know not to come around trail cameras and things like that. But maybe that has some kind of like answer for why are Bigfoot pictures always so blurry?
Right.
That same thing is like, well, is Bigfoot blurry and all that stuff?
No, they're not. So it's fun because we learn from so many people's experiences, and then you kind of put 2 and 2 together. When people say, are they telepathic? Well, when I hear encounter stories, like they'll tell me I was sitting hunting and all of a sudden Like I saw it come out and it looked right at me. Like it came out of the bushes and looked right at me. And I'm thinking, I never hear anybody say, well, it kind of like stepped out and it started like walking around and then it looked around and then it saw me. It was like right away they know that the person's there. How? You know what I mean? So there's so many questions again, not enough answers. So, but
I've got a question here from Andy Gone Fishing. Do you think Dogman is a government created being?
I hope not. I hope not. Why are they hiding this to government? Why? I mean, it's like, are we not sane all enough to like, I mean, 90% of the public or the world is pretty much sane and sound. I think we can handle if they say, look, you need to be careful. This is happening. If that makes sense, you know, it's just, I understand that, you know, if there are bad ones present, then evacuate the area, like stop them. But then like the money is a big issue. Like, you know, the fishing industry, the wood industry, like all these things will be affected, you know, so.
Yeah.
I understand, and I hope that I'm doing the right thing, because sometimes I think, God, am I doing the right thing, God? Like, is this something that should be done? Or is it, am I going to hurt people by doing this? Or, you know.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut. Jake always says, go with your gut. I'm
going to go with my gut.
100%. That's always.
So, well, I'm a mom. As a woman, as a mom, like, being alone out there with them, it's so scary. Like, it is like, you know, and when they find little kids, like, on cliffs, like, 1,000 miles away from home or whatever, like watch your kids carefully in the woods, moms. Like, you know, and it's just it's funny because a lot of my friends are like, don't go there by yourself. Let me go out there with you. But I tell them, I said, you're so sweet, thank you, but you as a man, you can't like fight against Sasquatch either. I know you're strong, but not that strong. You know what I mean? Just because they haven't seen one. So once you see one, I don't believe, you know, anything really could stop it. If they want you, they'll take you. You know, so.
You do hear though that. More times than not, the encounter stories are a lot more aggressive when there's only one person. And if for whatever reason, they can take 3 people out easily. I mean, that's what I think. I think they're strong and they could just it'd take you out. And there's probably more than one Bigfoot there anyway. So we're going to be outnumbered anyway, probably. But whatever reason, it seems like the encounters are less aggressive when there's maybe 2 or 3 people. It seems like most.
Yeah. Well, I think they know we can kill from a distance, you know, and I think they're a little more intimidated with males than females, for sure, like children. But just my experiences, you know, you know,
go on, sorry.
I had some stuff out in my balcony, and when I started searching back here, I found 12 structures, huge structures. A lot of them are burnt trees that have been like moved to this area. And I found stuff that belonged on my like balcony inside of their like structures, which was like horrifying to me. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is an example. I had some in the basement. It's not locked. We keep our trash in the basement because of bears. So I cleaned my rat cage. I have a rat, and I cut this Halloween cup in half to put the food in. So I cleaned its cage and I put the trash out in the basement. So I go into the structures of them and I found the cup like inside the structure. And I was like, oh my gosh, like they've been inside my basement. And sure enough, I opened the door and I found a black feather, a rock, and some sticks inside my basement, which is pretty scary. But so we have to, yeah.
I have a question for you here. Do you think they read human body language to know your intentions, like you understood the expression on the males, on the big males?
I think they do. I think they know your heart. I think they sense good, bad, better than we do. So, in my opinion, I think they do. I think they saw like 3 girls and, you know, a mom that really loves her kids who will probably fight for her life for them. You know, I think so. So more open-minded people. So.
I'm just going to see if there's any more questions. If anyone's got any questions, if you can put them on in capitals, please.
Have you ever smelled them? Have you ever had like a wafting stench or anything that's like, okay, something smells strong, a pungent odor, anything like that?
I never did in years. And like when the house was smacked, like the window was open and I literally thought my dog has gas. And I'm like, for the first like minute or two, I was like, oh my gosh, Toby, like, oh my gosh, like almost gagging. And I'm like, he must be sick. Like I must have given some bad dog food or whatever. And then like was like a big boof, like smack on the house. So then I'm like, I put 2 and 2 together. Oh my gosh, that smell wasn't him. it was them. You know what I mean? So
can you describe that smell a little bit?
It smelled like trash, like poop, like you know, like when I saw like a dead animal smell, like a death smell. It was really gross. Because I've worked in a hospital, so like we don't. I mean, when someone would die, they'd be in the freezer. You know, you don't smell anything like that. So that was my first time of smelling it, and it almost like stuns you to the point where you can't really function. It's that bad. It's almost like a weapon they use type thing.
That's what I think. That was why I was asking the question. I smelled something once, and I mean, it instantly paralyzed me. I instantly was just like, and then it stopped. I mean, I smelled it for like a second and a half, then it stopped, and then I smelled it again, and I got right up and ran right inside. And I didn't know about any of this stuff then, but it freaked me out like bad.
Well, what kind of smell just dissipates in like a minute? Like, where does it go? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was strong.
Yeah.
It smelled like what you were describing, trash.
Poop. Like, is this OB? Or
it smelled like a homeless man. I kind of don't want to get too graphic, but it smelled like a dirty old homeless man, BO, with like rotten garbage. It didn't have any death smell. It didn't have any rotten meat smell. It had the gross man who doesn't shower mixed with rotten garbage, really strong, and just made all my hair stand up, just boom, instantly, and it scared the crap out of me.
I know.
I didn't think a smell could scare you, but it certainly did.
It stops you, doesn't it?
It was
For
insane.
sure.
It was insane.
I wondered if it's a gland. I wonder if it's something like a skunk does, whether they can just give it off.
Someone messaged me, and he said that he was in front of a dog man, and he said that he was face to face with it. It was about 50 feet, and he said all of a sudden it went like, it took like a breath, and like it went it did something, and he said the smell was like almost like he almost passed out from the smell. So that was the first time I've ever heard someone like actually saw like a body movement face to face with one, and then the smell would come. So I feel that they have some kind of ability to like throw out a smell. And I've also heard of a friend of mine here actually saw one, and he saw it do a wood knock. And that was the first time I've heard someone see them do a wood knock. Because, I always wondered, is it really them? Like the wood knocks, is it them? So that was interesting too. And he said that the stick it was holding was like a big old tree. It was massive, he said.
Yeah.
So
did your friend describe the way the dog man's breath smelled?
He said it was horrific. He said it was like BO, like someone who hasn't showered in like poop. Like he said it was all similar, like mixed in one. Very similar.
No sulfury smell or anything like that.
He didn't really say sulfury, but he did mention it was just like a horrible like gagging. He said he was gagging. He said he almost passed out. Like it was so bad, So it was interesting though, because they were kind of looking at each other for like a couple seconds, and then it like kind of stood up and it went like it did like some kind of movement. And its mouth kind of opened, and then that's when the smell just overpowered him. So that was interesting, very interesting. So,
have you ever felt sick, like any type of frequency or infrasound effect projected onto you? That's from Michelle DH.
Yes, I actually was in the woods, and we made like a big old circle, and like we were kind of lost, and I'm like, oh, like, and then we found our way finally, and we looked at the time, and it was like 2 hours later, like. But when we saw the clock, it was like, oh, it's like 3 o'clock. We still have 4 hours left, So we were like, what happened to these 2 hours? And we ended up walking like in a big circle. It was so weird, very strange. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, some people won't admit to things like that, but I'm honest with my experiences, But
I've had it happen. And it was very weird. So
I don't know if you guys know Matt Squatch Presents. I'm friends with him. He's from like LA, so. I brought him up to the area where I saw the encounter. This is before I moved to this house, and he's so nice. And then what he did is he did an investigation without telling me. So he came to the area where I had the creatures, but he feels he got zapped when he was by himself. He came after I took him to the spot, and he had to leave. He couldn't be there anymore. He said he felt like this horrible dread feeling, and then he had a headache for like 3 days that he never really ever gets. So he's been great help to me. Kevin Woods, thank you. Pam, all of you guys, thank you so much for your help and your love and support. Sorry, I just had to say that. I just feel like I have to say thank you to so many.
Well, thanks for you too, for speaking out and for making a difference and trying to make a difference. and doing what a lot of other people are not doing, you know, and it's what we need. The only way we're going to go forward with this is to actually start doing things, you know, like yourself and like Kerry with the expedition. And, you know, I think the next year is going to be a really big year for everybody. I think this is going to, you know, change a lot of things, hopefully. So
I hope so.
There's just still such a huge percentage of the population that thinks we're all nuts.
I know. But do you really, I mean, because I mean, well, I was one of those people that didn't have an open mind. I would judge those. It was such a big lesson for me. So for those people that are watching this who say they don't believe in it, well, you're watching this channel for a reason. So maybe deep in your soul, you need to kind of look into your soul and look, maybe they are too scared to have that think of like that existing. Like they're not willing to think out of the box type thing, you know, but because there's a lot of people that won't even talk to me. Like a lot of my friends, my kids, like parents, they don't want anything to do with me because I'm like thinking I'm doing like better for the world, but they think that I'm crazy. But I'm like, well, what if I am telling the truth? And what if we did see what we see? You're going to judge me for that? Like, you know, so it's just a little frustrating, but if that makes sense.
Are your kids on board with you?
One is not. The oldest one's having a very hard time. She's very upset that I'm here in the woods.
At that age, doesn't want to, you know, have her friends pick on her, and she wants to be cool and all that stuff. And the Bigfoot thing isn't very cool, probably.
Well, to some they are. Like they love me, and then once they know about me, they're like, "Oh my gosh, your mom's a Bigfoot girl," you know, like. It's cute, you know, but it's like she has to like really get to know her friends before she tells them. Like my mom and I saw like you know, it's really cute. But I understand because they're kind of finding themselves right now. They're teenagers now. You know, one's a senior in high school. She's trying to find her soul right now, and the little one, she's so like innocent. She's like, you know, Mom, I know you're just trying to save lives, so I told them to just leave me alone. You know, it's really cute.
That is
so.
Cute.
So I need to give my kids a lot of confidence, extra confidence than most moms because they've been through a lot more, you know, and they've seen more. Yeah.
So people are asking, you do have a YouTube channel. It's just Claudia Ackley. If you put Claudia Ackley in, they'll find your channel.
Yeah.
There's actually lots of stuff on YouTube about you as well, and your encounter, the one where you were with your daughters. So if anyone just put Claudia's name in, and you'll find you've done some interviews as well. So there's lots of about you, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're coming to the end of the hour. Thanks very much for coming on. I've really enjoyed getting to know you a lot better and what you're doing. And, hopefully we'll keep in touch and you'll come back again and let us know how you're getting on, you know, with things.
Thank you.
I just need to let everyone know, just put it in your diary. If you want to meet Kerry and Linda, they're at the Texas Bigfoot Conference. That's the 19th of October. Kerry will be on before then anyway to tell you all about it, I'm sure. And next week we've got Blue Line Wednesday with Adam and Jake. Is that right, Adam?
That's correct.
That's correct. Good. Have we got anything?
It's on Wednesday, I think. I'm not sure.
I think it is. I'll double check, but I think it's on Wednesday.
With Jake.
Is there anything in store for us, or is it just all hush hush for now?
I think it's going to have to be hush hush. I know it's going to be super fun.
Excellent.
That much I know. But I also know that I'm going to give a shameless plug that we are going to be doing another episode of our new podcast that we just developed. Episode 3. It's going to be on tomorrow at 7 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Very cool.
Something fun. Check it out. Go on to Bigfoot and check it out. It'll be fun.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for coming tonight, and hope you all have a good weekend, and we'll see you all on Wednesday.
And thank you guys all for your love and support. I love you all so much, and please pray to God for a little bit of protection when you go out there, and I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for having me on your show, and God bless you guys always. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Daniela.
So welcome.
Take care. Bye.